Imagine knowing that all of your bills were paid every single month without fail. It sounds like a dream, right? Well, not so much. In fact, for many retail and e-commerce businesses, that's their reality. Want to know how they're doing it? Monthly recurring revenue, my friends, MRR. And today's guest, Sarah Williams, is going to walk you exactly how you can do it inside of your retail or e-commerce business as well. Welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am excited because you just told me about the fact that your customers stay on average 17 months. They pay you $74 every single month, and it only costs you $37 to buy. That, I do not have words for how amazing that is. But before we get to how we do it, this didn't happen overnight, did it?
No, definitely not. I started as a retail brick and mortar store. I was a local gift shop. I just had only local customers, and I specialized in personalizing items. So we personalize with embroidery, with vinyl, with DTF, with laser machines. So we personalize a lot of the items in our store for our customers. And that's really how I got started. And there was this time back in 2016, let's go all the way back, where I was looking at my customer habits, right? So they would come in, I would see my customer on average about once a month, whether they were buying something for themselves or they were buying a gift for someone else. And this is how we started to build relationships, right? As a store owner, you build relationships with people that come in, you chit chat. But what I was noticing is there was kind of these negative feelings about, oh, I saw this on Facebook, but it's sold out. Oh, I saw this, but I didn't get here in time. And it triggered something in me. What if I could create something that would take my best customer and make them feel like a VIP in the business? And they wouldn't have to worry about it selling out. They wouldn't have to worry about getting there quickly to buy whatever I had. And so that's where the idea came for my subscription box. I was watching a large company sell a similar subscription box to the products that I had. And I just kept watching and I just kept reading the comments and I just kept thinking to myself, I can do this and I can do this better, and better in a way of the way they were handling their customer service. It was just not well. It was a very cheap subscription. And when you have a cheap subscription, you have cheap products. And so I was thinking I could do this and give them a nice quality product and make my everyday customers feel like VIPs of my business. And that's when I started my subscription box.
Okay, can we just back up? Because a few things that you just said there that I have some questions about. First of all, you're selling mostly personalized gifts,
Yep.
but people are coming back once a month. That seems really frequently to me. Like, it seems like I don't know, maybe I'm not the right person. Clearly I was not your market, but coming back every month to buy personalized gifts sounds like you were doing something really right.
Right. And I had the gifts, but I also had a lot of trendy seasonal items, graphic tees, a lot of different things for seasonal items. We had the cups, the bags, all the things. And so whether they were buying something for themselves or someone else, they typically added a little something on for themselves too. But they were just coming back to see what was new, to see what I had created, or to see how they could personalize something special for somebody in their life or themselves.
Okay, so the next thing that you had said was that you kept selling out. Now, this is just, it's just kind of like a light bulb going off on my head, because as we're recording this, maybe not when people are listening, but as we're recording this, we are in the middle of our Double My Holiday Sales Bootcamp. And one of the conversations that has come up over and over again is how someone mentioned that they sold out of a product. And I said, so how much money did you lose? And she said, no, I sold out. And I went, yeah, so how much money did you lose because you sold out? And it took a little moment, but then it was like, oh, right. Because I only had X number of units, I probably could have sold a lot more. And so you worked that out, 10 years ago, which was like, I'm losing money because I'm selling out, but I'm also upsetting my customers. And there is that really fine line. Like, I appreciate that new products and product drops and keeping customers interested is a business model in and of itself. And you do have to, I guess, sell out to keep that business model, to keep those customers hungry. But there is that fine line between doing that and how much money did I lose?
Right. And then there's the negative feelings that they're feeling like, well, I won't even go buy there because they'll always sold out. Or the negative feelings that I was feeling like I was disappointing somebody that was coming in. So there was that kind of negative feeling. Like, how do I remove that negative feeling? Because you and I both know we could go to market, we could buy a whole bunch of stuff for our shops. We really actually never know what's going to be the sellout product. And so that's what happens. We may choose 5 products, the one we love, we buy triple, depth quantity in, and it's the one that sits on the shelf. And the other 2 that you only bought 1 pack of are the ones that sell out
Every time.
every time. So it's hard to judge that, right? And so especially as a small business owner, like you just don't have endless amounts of money to test and try all this stuff. So that was something that I was like, how can I make this better for me and for them at the same time?
Okay. So we have realized that there's money sitting on the table and we're going to do something about that. We've realized that we could be upsetting our customers, which is money that we're potentially losing. The other thing that you just mentioned there was that somebody else was doing this. So it was a proven concept, but they weren't doing it well. You knew you could do it better, but you did say that you kind of stalked them, great,
Yeah.
to see what they were doing well and what they weren't. Can you walk us through what did that look like and what did you find out that you could then implement so that when you did this, it was so much better?
Well, so I would watch them do their box reveal every single month. And mostly out of curiosity, like, oh, what do they have in their box this month? I was curious because I sold similar products and they were monogrammed products, which is what I was doing for my shop too. And I thought, there's no way I can make a subscription box with monogram products. I'm going to have to personalize every single one of them, right? But I was watching them do this. So they were doing something right. They were able to customize every single box that was going out. So that was number 1. So I thought, okay, that's doable. I'll figure that out. And then in the chat on their social media, it was, this fell apart. This was too small. This was cheap, all this stuff. And I kept reading it. This box was only $21.99. So, and it was full of stuff. So in my mind, I'm like, it's a cheap box. What do you expect? But they're expecting high quality products for the price that they're paying. And so I thought, I can do this, but there's no way I can give high quality products for $21.99. So that's off the table, first of all. But how could I do this for my customers? It wasn't about their customers or anybody else on the planet. It was about my customers. And so there was a couple things that I started to look at within my own business. And this would be really helpful for anyone that has a product-based business when you start to think about what could you turn into your own subscription box. And the first thing that I started to look at was, what were my best-selling categories in my shop? What were my top 3 categories? Well, number 1 was graphic tees. Number 2 was tumblers. And back in 2016, that was like the silver Yeti. Like everybody had the same color, same style. So I had to monogram them so that you knew which one was yours. This is how that came into my world, right? And so then there started to become colors started to come out. So it was a whole thing back then. Now everybody has every tumbler everywhere you go. And then it was accessories. I would sell matching earrings to the graphic tees. I would sell tote bags, handbags, crossbodies, like all kinds of accessories. So I thought, okay, here's my top 3 categories. What if I created a subscription box around those best-selling products? And I started to think about, those were the products that would sell. And then I started thinking about, yes, you can buy a tumbler, but you don't need those every month, right? Yes, you can buy a purse, but you don't need a new purse every month. What was selling over and over? What would people repeat buying? It was the t-shirts, it was the earrings. Every single time they would come into the shop, they're buying a new t-shirt, they're buying a pair of earrings to match. So that became my staple for the box. And then the rest were just added in as pieces of the box. So one month they might get t-shirt, earrings, a kimono and a cup. And then the next month they might get a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, and a handbag. And so every month I just curated around those top 3 selling categories and got a little creative as I went, but that was where I started. The other data point that I had in my business that everybody has in their business is their average order value. So that AOV was important because I didn't want to just throw a number out there and just hope that it would stick. It was like, what is the average order value of my shop right now? When someone walks through the front door, what on average were they spending? Remember, this is 2016. $40 was my AOV. We look now, it's in the 70s. $40 back then is like $70 right now, right?
That's pre-COVID money.
It's pre-COVID money. This is pre-inflation money. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to sell a box with my best 3 categories and I'm going to price it at $40 and I'm going to add shipping onto that because I think a lot of my local people will buy this and they don't need shipping. They'll just come to my store and pick it up. So I'll add $9.95 if people want it shipped. And this was actually the only product that I had on my website at that time because I was strictly a local brick and mortar store. I didn't even have e-com at that time. So I get my product listing up on my website. My website only had like my location and my hours on it, right? And so now I had a product on there and now I started to sell my subscription box and I launched it on social media. No ads, no marketing, just launched it to my following. And I sold 44 boxes that very first month.
Okay. I need to back up a little bit. You were on such a roll, I didn't want to jump in. But categories, when it came down to, you said a graphic tee, the tumblers, and the bags and the earrings, sorry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As you were talking, before you even said $40, I was thinking, this sounds expensive. So the graphic tees, you weren't making them, were you? You were just reselling those. So you were buying them from a supplier or you were making them?
I was making them. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Were you making all of those products or sourcing them directly or were you reselling some of them?
So the graphic tees was the only thing that I was designing the graphic tees and having them screen printed with a local screen printing company. That really reduced my cost on that. The rest of the items I was now sourcing overseas or with some of my wholesale vendors. I really wasn't in the manufacturing space yet with 44 subscribers. So it was using my wholesale vendors, people I've met at market, people I'd bought from online. And so I was just sourcing stuff from my wholesale vendors at that time.
So you can certainly get started without having to go into manufacturing.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So the next thing I was thinking was this was expensive. Can I ask, do you happen to remember what was like your cost of goods for that box? So we were selling for $40. What was it costing you?
I remember my profit margin was 42% at that time. So you can do the math. I'm not the best at math on the spot, but I had a profit margin of 42% when I first started. And that really remained until I got into a few hundred subscribers. And then it just started to go up and up and up. And now with several thousand subscribers, my profit margin is about 67% on average.
Love that. Love that. Okay. My next question regarding product and categories was you mentioned that you were able to personalize every single box. I mean, walk us through how that happened. And I'm guessing there was like one item that was monogrammed in each box.
There was a couple variables in the box. So there was things that were size specific. So I needed like their sizes and then we had the monogram. So I needed their initials. So basically, if I decided, okay, this month you were going to get a monogram sweatshirt, that was the monogrammed item. And then everything kind of matched that sweatshirt, right? But only one of the items was monogram. So in the beginning, I had 44 subscribers. So I'd take my little subscriber list, go back to my embroidery machine, and I would embroider 44 sweatshirts, match them up in their boxes, make sure everybody had the right size, the right initials, and all the things out the door. And then that grew and that grew and that grew. And so now it's a whole assembly line process that we do now. And so, but it's really the same process. We have the spreadsheets that we print out. This box that went out this month had a monogram t-shirt to go with a pair of pajama pants. And so we go through the list. Okay, she's a size small. This is her monogram. Press it, move on. We use the DTF this month. So we have DTF, laser, embroidery machines, vinyl machines. We have it all. But we work on, it's a process and it takes a couple weeks to get everything done. So like right now, this week, I don't know when this is airing, but we're a couple weeks ahead of the next month. And so we're starting the process to monogram the next month. And yes, we're going to have some monogram where their payments bounce. But over the years, those few that the payments don't run for outweighs the time that we need to get them done. So it really was a small cost for getting 2 weeks of monogramming done before the payments start to run.
Oh, I love that. Okay. Talk to us about curating, because I don't even know if this is so ingrained in your nature and you were already so switched on when you put this together. But I think listening from this side of the screen, you had originally said that the cheap box was just kind of random stuff put together. And then I just picked up on the fact that you just said, it was a t-shirt, a bag, and a sweater, and it was pajama pants and a top. So these are not random things just thrown together. How do you go about curating it? And I just wanted to point this out because some people might just think, oh, I'm going to look around my store and just throw stuff in. But what I heard was, no, don't do that, because that is the thing that upset the cheap box people.
Right. It was just, and even when you get, it's like the dirty word in my industry, especially for me, because I would consider them a competitor, even though I don't think of them as a competitor, but the FFF, the FabFitFun box. If you've ever gotten a FabFitFun box, they're probably the closest thing to like being a competitor. They have girly things and stuff like that. It's just random stuff. Nothing goes together. It's just a bunch of randomness thrown in a box. And so that's what we don't want. And we don't have the ability to throw a bunch of stuff in a box anyway like they do. Like they are literally getting stuff so cheap. One of the vendors I use provides for FabFitFun, and we've had conversation about how cheap they get things. It's ridiculous. But anywho, back to curating. So I start every month with kind of a theme. So I think about what season are we in? And seasonal things make great subscription boxes because we use them for a short period of time and then we want something new. So like fall, for example, I'm curating fall boxes. I do a couple fall boxes, graphic tees that are about fall, maybe sweatshirts, beanies, hoodies, tote bag to take to the football game or whatever you need. Like I'm curating these fall things. What is my ideal customer thinking, feeling, and doing in the fall? That's what I'm thinking. Well, if they're like me, they're dragging kids around to soccer games, volleyball games, football games, all the things that happen in the fall. They need layers. We're starting to layer up our clothing now as the summer switches over to fall. So their wardrobe is changing a little bit. They go from bright pops of color that they have in the summer and spring to more neutral colors. So that's the color palettes that I'm going to work with. And so like this box that went out this month was black and white pajama bottoms with a black V-neck tee, monogrammed, had a little matching ring holder that you put like by your sink, you put your rings in. So it's like things that you would use together and all of it matches in a color palette. And so that's where I start. I think, okay, what are we going to do for fall? And I'll curate a couple fall boxes. And I start with the main item. I call this my hero item. And I'll think, okay, in this box, it was the pajama pants. Those were the hero. That was the hero item. That was the most expensive item in the box. And so then what would I need with pajama pants? Well, I'm going to need a top to wear with those pajama pants. And then what else could I curate with that? That could be, a makeup bag. For me, it was a little ring holder when you take off your rings at night and wash your face. It could be little scrubber things for your face. It could be an eye mask. There could be so many things that you would put with this subscription box to go with those pajamas. Next month, it's a hoodie. So what are we using with the hoodie? Well, we've got electric hand warmer that's going to go in there, a little battery operated hand warmer. We may have a beanie. Like what are those things that you're going to use in that month? And then that's how we plan every single month. And I do that about 3 to 6 months out at a time. So right now I'm in spring of the next year. And so I'm planning March, April, May right now. So I kind of do 3 months at a time. I kind of lay them out. I create a theme. Then I create a color palette. So the box this month is all black and white with a little touch of light blue. That is the whole color palette for everything that's in that box. Next month, it's like a hunter green. And this is all of our whole color palette is around these kind of green and orange color palette. And then November, it's going to be a Christmas theme because I need them to get that Christmas box a month ahead of the holiday. So they have all of December to wear that. People are wearing Christmas stuff at Thanksgiving week. So you just have to think ahead a little bit and figure out how you want to plan it. What are your best selling items? What are people repeat buying? What's your average order value? And then you can start to curate these boxes.
Okay. When you get this right, what does it do for your business? Because remember, you were still a brick and mortar store at this point. We had 44 subscribers in the first month. Well, 2 questions. So what does it do for your store? But how quickly did that grow? Like what happened when they got their first boxes?
So when I launched the subscription, I planned for 50 boxes. Okay, so this is just a number I pulled out of my hat. 50 boxes. I sold 44 of them and I was thrilled with that. So I had 6 left, right? So then everybody gets their box and it was a mystery. Like it was the worst marketing campaign on the planet. It was like a white mock-up box with my logo, black and white on top of it. It was terrible, but people knew me. So I had to start. I had an audience. They knew my product. So I had somewhere to start. And then when I showed up and did the box reveal, those 6 boxes I had left, they sold like within 30 minutes of me doing this live reveal. So now I had 6 more subscribers. So now I had hit my 50. And so I thought, let me add 25 more boxes to next month because I had bought my first 3 boxes. And so I said, okay, I got 25 more, sold out in an hour. Now I had 75. Then I had 150. Then I had 300. Within about 8 months, I had 400 subscribers and all were local to my shop. And let me just tell you what that did to my brick and mortar. 400 people every single month were walking through my front door to pick up their subscription box and shopping while they were there. Like I couldn't have bought that much foot traffic if I was out on the street with a sandwich board. Like it was like an after effect that I hadn't even planned on. And so I had to hire another person to work the register because we were so busy on box pickup day. So it was like, okay, refresh all the displays. And then I'm going to send the email telling everybody it's time for their box to pick up, it's pickup day. And then we would get ready and the rush would kind of be so exciting. And the thing is, I thought, well, they're going to have a box. They're not going to want to buy anything else. They want all the things. Oh, this is so cute. I hadn't seen this before. And so it really drove a lot of traffic into my store as well.
Plus, on top of that, let's not forget the fact that I'm guessing at this point, like all of your expenses were covered. 400
Yes.
people we were at $40 to begin with, and the price just keeps going up. Like just the relief of knowing that, like, I don't have to stress. This is happening.
100 was my number, Selena. So my big goal was if I got 100 subscribers, my rent and my utilities were paid for my building. And so and then everybody that shopped in the store, that was just business, right? Like that's where I made my money. So this to me, it was like my big goal was, could I get 100 subscribers by the end of the year? I didn't know in month 3 I'd have 100 subscribers. And by the end of the year, I'd have close to 400 subscribers. And so now, remember the story of me sitting at the embroidery machine? And now I'm sitting there for days on end, just monogramming and monogramming and monogramming and working all weekend. Like, I got to go to the shop. I got like hundreds of things to monogram. And so, you buy more machines and then you can run 2 monograms at once and then you can run 3 monograms at once. So it's just a process that you figure out along the way.
So you said what you found was that people were coming into the store and just picking things up. At any point, did you kind of go, well, the box has the pajamas and the ring, but maybe we could do like a nighttime cardi or the face scrubs? Or did you I feel like you were probably savvy enough to work that out from the beginning, but as you're talking, I'm thinking, well, in my store, I would have the extras.
Yeah, we're going to have the matching slippers and a matching robe, right? And because I'm designing the shirts, I may go to market and buy a line of cardigans. Now I know what colors are coming. I'm going to put the ink in the shirts to match these cardigans. So now I have a $48 upsell on these 1,500 people that have the same t-shirt, right? And so things started to really click for me and I was able to say, okay, 1,500 people are going to have this t-shirt. Let's go ahead and buy 100 of these cardigans. I'll make the shirt match. And then I'm just selling more, upselling more, upselling more. And so I got really good at that over the years and it works really well. And what I found is that our subscribers are actually our number 1 customer in our shop, in our e-commerce shop. I no longer have a brick and mortar, but they're our best customers. They're the ones that show up live when I'm live selling. They're the ones buying all the extra things. They're the ones buying gift boxes for people in their family at Christmas time. Like they are our best customers.
That is amazing. And if we can just circle back to right at the beginning, I was saying that you now charge $74 a box. You're only paying $37 to get a customer, which in this world is amazing. But not only that, they're staying for 17.3 months. And so I'm just going to get out my calculator because I can't air math either. There we go. That is $1,280.20 that you are getting from a customer when you pay
Acquire them
$37 for them.
one time. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of businesses can't even keep a customer for that long, like with constant refreshes,
Yeah.
let
And
alone almost guaranteed revenue.
guaranteed revenue and guaranteed sold inventory. Remember how we were guessing what we should buy in the beginning? Now, because 80% of my revenue comes from these subscriptions, also 80% of my inventory is sold when I bought it. So I never have to play the inventory guessing game too much. I buy the 20% that I have to buy, I buy to match the subscription box so that I'm not too far off with whatever I've got. But you think about how long it takes to get a customer to come back 17 times. And you think about when we are talking about one-time sales, like how many times you have to acquire them to come back, how many times you're paying for them to come back. When that recurring revenue, you just pay for them one time. You love on them, you treat them well, you curate great boxes, and they're going to keep paying you over and over and over like clockwork. And every month on the first, my bank account is full. Every single month. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to wake up and would you tell me last time we talked? Sing for your supper? Is that what you call it?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I call it like I used to have to wake up and pay the rent every day. Like I had to show up and sell every day
Yeah.
to make sales. And this way, no matter what's going on in my life, I don't feel like showing up today. I don't have to. I don't have to pay the rent every day. The rent's coming on the first and I've got the check for it. And everything else that I do is great. If I want to go drop a new fall collection, great. I just added money to my revenue for the month, but I don't have to do anything because everything is taken care of from that recurring revenue.
I love that. Can we just talk just a little bit about, money is fantastic. Money does so much for us, but having that monthly recurring revenue, I think what a lot of people don't realize in retail and e-commerce, because we are so focused on inventory, sell it, get people back again and again and again. What we forget about is the value of our business when we have monthly recurring revenue. So can you give us a bit of an insight? If we know this money is coming in every single month, yeah, that's great, intrinsically, and we can sleep through the night, but what else does it do for our business?
I mean, it allows you to hire. Like, how many times have anyone listening been afraid to hire the next person because you're not sure if you're going to be able to provide a steady paycheck for them? Sometimes we hire before we're even giving ourselves a steady paycheck, and that can feel super stressful. So it's allowed me to hire and hire confidently in different roles in my business. It's also allowed me to expand to a bigger warehouse, knowing that I've got that rent covered, no big deal. I can expand and give us some space. It's allowed me to buy more equipment. So, in the beginning, all I had was one embroidery machine. And now we have lasers and DTF machines and multiple embroidery machines. So it allows me to be super efficient with what we're doing and expanding what we can offer. And so all those things wouldn't be possible if I didn't know that I was going to have that revenue coming in every month. If I had to oh, I don't know, July's really rough, I better hold back on any purchases, or I better take people off the schedule and just work myself instead of, having to pay labor. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And it just took building it from that one launch of 44 and just continue to build it and continue to nurture and continue to provide a great experience with their boxes.
Something that you just said there, which was it's like you don't have the J months, which is, the January, the dips. You have this consistency, which is, it is the holy grail. But I have to ask you a question, because when you said that, the first thing I thought of was, okay, the last 18 months, been a little bit tight for a lot of people. Have you seen that subscription boxes have taken a hit just like everything else?
No, and matter of fact, no. I have launched the last 2 months in the business. I have 3 different subscriptions, and I've gained 761 new subscribers in the last 60 days. And so I'm going to tell you, no, we can give ourselves all the excuses in the world that people aren't buying. You can walk into Target right now, it's going to be full of people at the register. You can get on a plane right now and first class is going to be full. people have money, people are buying what they want. So stop telling yourself it's not possible, because I think those are the lies that we tell ourselves to help us sometimes feel better when things aren't working. But it also hinders us from pushing forward, because I know if Target's busy, people have money to buy my subscription box, right? Because Target ain't got nothing that I'm not selling either, right? So to me, it's just we have to put it in front of them in the right way.
I love that. Sarah Williams, I could talk to you forever because I think you are a brilliant marketer. I think you are a brilliant business person. And just the knowledge and the ease of which you say that this is possible. And I know, we all know that this is not like, oh, let's go and start a box tomorrow. It does take time. It does take curation. You do have to think ahead, which, let's be honest, a lot of people can't focus on that. So you do have to think ahead, but also you have to market the damn thing. And marketing is where people kind of just, this is not 2016 where I can go live on Facebook and I sell 44 boxes, my friend.
Right. Right. But also think about it in your product-based business, because here's where we're at. If you're listening right now, whether you have a retail shop or you have an e-commerce store, you are 1,000% ahead of anybody else starting from scratch. You have a product, you have an audience, and you have data that you can use to do this. What if you built $5,000 of recurring revenue into your existing business right now? What would that change for you? You don't have to go build $1 million. I mean, it just happened for me, but it'll come. But it started with that first 100. It's that first 44 that worked into my first 100 that paid my $3,000 in rent of my building, right? And so I want you to think about, what would $5,000 in recurring revenue do for your business? And when you think about it that way, let's start with 20. Let's start with 50. And then it's a process you're going to figure out along the way.
I love it. You share a lot of information on how to do this. Where can people find you?
You can find me over at launchyourbox.com. I'm on the socials under How to Start a Sub Box. So you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube.
Sarah, thank you so much. It's probably one of the things I didn't get around to doing. I did wholesale, I did distribution, I did home party plan once upon a time back in the 2010s. But I never got around to a subscription box. And it's one of those things I do kick myself and think, oh, that is something that you probably should have cashed in on. You, my friend, did it, and you did it so well. And thank you so much for sharing all of this with me.
Well, the best thing is that every day in my community, women are doing it and they're being successful and they're hitting 7 figures a year in their subscription box. And so whether you want an extra $5,000 a month or you want to go big, you can do this. And it just takes a roadmap and just follow someone that's gone in front of you.
Sarah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelena and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.